this up. Who wants to be the first one? Oh, no one hears that shy. Go ahead.
I've been a progressive and a Democrat for a very long time. And I have friends who have worked for campaigns. One's a campaign manager. I have a friend who used to be an aide to Senator Cranston, California, way back in the 60s. And one thing that we all decided after November 8th was we weren't listening. As progressives, we were not listening to what a good portion of our society was saying. And I guess my question to you is what are you doing to hear and answer those demands that some of them are, of course, totally against what we believe, but still they need an answer, and an answer that will make them realize that you can solve the problem as well as be on the other side.
Well, I think you're making a very astute observation, and I don't know how many of you have read the book Shattered about the Clinton campaign, but I did, and there were some sleepless nights while I was reading that because there was such a missed opportunity to really engage with people. The calculation that you can win an election just by beating up your opponent, it doesn't work. We've seen it over and over again. We've got to talk to people and meet them where they are. If your core needs are not being met, everything else is noise. As a parent, you know that if you've got a child who's hurting or who's not getting what they need to be successful, if you're worried about your child's future, you don't have energy to worry about all the other issues that I know thinking people without those fears are talking about and weighing in on. You can't spend your energy thinking about all the environmental issues that are really important right now if your child's hurting or if you can't pay your bills, you can't make your rent payment. And I think that's one of the things that we've not done a very good job on is making sure that we're talking about how do we make Michigan a place where every kid can thrive, where they've got the education that they need to be successful, where we're providing universal early childhood education. How do we make this a state where every Michigander has a real path to a job that pays them well enough, that they might enjoy doing as well, whether it's affordable college degree or community college or a real skilled trade opportunity that they can see and leads to independence and happiness and self-sufficiency. But also, think about the families at Flint. How do we meet those needs where you know that the people in Lansing are really looking out for you? They're not thinking about whoever bankrolled their campaign or who their friends are or how to save money and not worried about what the human consequences of those decisions are. And I think that's where I come back to those are the three most important things that I need to focus on, that I hear from the campaign, no matter what community I'm in, no matter what walk of life the person is that is speaking. When those three things aren't focused on and addressed, we're talking beyond the audience that we need to inspire to come out and vote, and we've got to talk about things that really are going to address their fundamental needs. I think that's a very important lesson from 2016. Yeah. All right, you yell it and I'll repeat it. How's that? Correct? I don't want to toss this.
I'll just use my classroom voice. I think I came out of the womb a Democrat, so I'll own that. But I would give my eye teeth to have Bill Milliken back. He's the only Republican I've ever voted for in my whole life that I love that better. And he seems so progressive now compared to what he
Oh, wildly. So much so that the Traverse Republicans disowned him, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have a two-part question. One is, in speaking about the fears of people, which seem to fuel so much of their orientation toward what they think the solution is. A, do you feel like you have a good handle on the pulse of those fears? And B, are there any strategies from your successful time in the Senate that you think might transfer to help you speak to those people and those fears, to offer them solutions they can hear?
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great question, and one of the things things that I'll tell you is that the reason I jumped in this race so early is so that I can get into as many communities as possible. It's only by talking to the first-year teacher in Alpena with one child who qualifies for the bridge card, because that's how little she's paid, that you can put a face on the looming teacher shortage that is going to plague this state and that is going to make it even harder for us to meet our kids' educational needs. It's only by speaking with the person that's been laid off and is trying to figure out how do they retool themselves so that they can get back into the workforce. It's that level of engagement that is so crucial to understanding, I think, what so many people in the state are worried about. Michigan was a leader. We had the finest workforce on the planet. We had great educational opportunities, and we could afford to get those higher education degrees, and our concentration of talent was so high, and that's not the case anymore. And that's a long-term slide that we've had, and it's a cultural issue that we've got to change, and it's not going to be easy, but if we're going to call ourselves a successful state again, we've got to be a state of successful people. And I think that the education that I had in terms of the legislature, how that's going to serve me well, whether it's on the campaign or as governor, is that I served with 3 different governors during my time in the legislature. There was one who was better skilled at getting an agenda accomplished than the other 2, and that was John Engler. And please don't hear me to be saying I'm praising John Engler's agenda, because I voted against it most of the time. But we're going to need a governor who understands how to work with legislators. They are not employees of the governor, despite what Governor Snyder has done, and his party controls everything. He's been stymied at getting a lot of his agenda accomplished, and the legislature's been dictating to him. Governor Granholm had the right priorities and values, but really, I think the legislature was a struggle, and she had a terrible situation to deal with. But I think that's why it's that much more important to have someone who understands how do you roll up your sleeves and put the votes together to get Medicaid expansion done, or to get an increase in education allotments, to get reform so that we've got savings perhaps in our correction budget that we can put into the education of our kids. How do we get that done so it becomes a reality? So 2018 is going to be a good year for Democrats, I predict. I mean, conventional wisdom, I guess, is out the window, but we do have a tendency to take big swings in governor's years. We went from Milliken to Blanchard to Engler to Granholm to Snyder. We're primed, and it will be midterm through Trump or Pence White House, maybe. But that usually, that environment is right for the other party not in control to have big gains in the election. But I'm not taking any of that for granted. It's going to be absolutely crucial that we build this coalition, and that not only do we win in 18, but that we govern, that we use the power of that executive office to effectuate the agenda that we all care about, that we're all talking about, that we're all turning out for across the state. I think it's always important, too, to remind people, Donald